Hey guys, this is Custom Computing coming back at you with another video. It's been a long time since my previous video for Just Cause. If you saw the thumbnail on this, you'll see that I got ransomware hacked. I lost a lot of data, I lost all of my Chia, and it's a pretty tough pill to swallow. So I created a video, I guess a couple of weeks ago, but it was more of a rant video and I wasn't happy with how it was coming off. It's taken me a couple of weeks to kind of simmer down and accept what has happened, and I'm going to try and do this in an educational video type of situation of what I did, what ended up happening, and what not to do. So these ransomware hacks are increasingly happening all over the place, and I'll also explain to you how they got into my systems, what they got, and kind of where I stand now. It's pretty devastating. I've lost all of my Chia from 2 years ago all the way up through now. It is all gone. So we'll go through the steps and I'll try and keep it as linear as possible so you can follow through, even though the situation was very obscure. I was discovering things out in pieces, and by the time I figured out the full discovery, it was much too late. So anyways, stick around. I hope this can teach somebody something about security, because obviously I was not doing it properly. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, so if you guys don't know me, you probably do if you're into Chia. I've had quite a few different Chia videos put out, and I've been doing it for almost 2 years. My first video that came out was a little bit after, I guess it was May 23rd, 2021. So that's almost 2 years ago. It was my first Chia movie video that I put out there. So I've been in the game for a long time, and I've done a lot of videos on trying to help people with setting things up, basically Chia Farmers Only installs, different things on the setups, different affinities, basically Mad Max configurations, network configurations, a whole bunch of things. Beginners stuff for dummies that had 20K views. So I've been around for a long time, and I loved doing these videos. I loved upgrading my Chia stuff and having everything, giving an educational perspective for you guys. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to explain to you a little bit about how my systems got compromised and what not to do, and also the people in the space that are very dangerous. I've experienced a lot of different people trying to quote unquote help me, but they're all in it together, and maybe me believing in people a little bit contributed to my gullibility of the ransomware stuff. So we'll get into it. These are obviously, look at these videos. We have tons of interviews here that I have on Chia, and this is me building a whole bunch of different stuff. So yeah, I've been around for a while, and unfortunately everything that I've worked towards over the last 2 years is gone because of this. So this is a really hard video for me to make, but I'm going to try and do it in sequence and explain to you guys how it happened. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick overview of what ransomware is. Most of you probably know what it is. In fact, it's been in the news quite frequently lately. City of Oakland just declared a state of emergency today based off a ransomware attack. They can't get any of their stuff back. There's just been an insane amount of ransomware attacks in 2022, 2023, and it's increasing as it typically would. Now, ransomware attacks are usually, not always, but usually they go through the remote desktop protocol, because that's the easiest way to get in, and you actually get full access to the computer, not just the back end. You get the actual access of being able to open up applications, etc., etc. So that's what happened to me. I traced the entry back. It took a while, but I had installed this Google Chrome desktop access extension It allows you to log into your computer from anywhere else in the world, and it basically just opens up an RDP port onto your computer at any time. Now, I installed the extension probably like 3 or 4 years ago on my Google Chrome on the computer that we ended up getting ransomwared. I never really used it. It was installed there and it constantly was open, so I could access it at any time, but I never updated the browser. I never updated the extension. I basically just completely forgot about it, and that's kind of how they got in. The reason why I know that is because some of my passwords were leaked on different data breaches, and those passwords were used to log into my system. So they must have received those passwords and just hammered through all the remote desktop ports, and they got through with this. So one of the biggest things I can say is absolutely anytime you see one of your password managers have a warning that this password has been found on a data breach, change it right away and put it into a 1Pass or a secure password. I was really laxed on all of those. I chose convenience over security. I really, I reuse the same password when it's for internal servers. I use the same password for things like this extension, and it was a pretty bad system. I was fighting with fire because the worst case scenario that I thought would happen is I get a virus. If I get a virus, then I just wipe out the computer and reinstall, Windows. That was what I was thinking was the worst case scenario. In fact, that's not the worst case scenario. What just happened is the worst case scenario. So they got through my main Chia server with this remote desktop extension. Basically, you don't even have to have Chrome open. You just install the extension, and then it's always available. Even when Chrome's closed, the access to that computer is available through remote desktop. So only later did I realize that this is how they got in. And the reason why I know that is because they were able to actually send my Chia to a different address, and we'll get into that in a little bit. One of the other things I've noticed here, which we'll just go quickly through, some of the new, there's tons of ransomware in the news, you can see, and the number of attacks are just increasing, and it's pretty brutal when it happens to you, and especially when you lose a lot. Like I lost a lot of crypto, and and it's very infringing on your security rights here. So anyways, we'll go through the next steps of what happened in a sec. Okay, so essentially, I started noticing a few quirks on my network. I had a couple of computers that had remote desktop enabled, but I actually only had 2 main servers that had the remote desktop enabled, and I had actually disabled the login passwords because I just wanted it to be convenient. I wanted to be able to go to that computer and just like log in. I figured nothing was going to happen inside my network. They're going to have to get through my router. That's never going to happen. Who's going to be looking for anything on my IP? The way it works is they scan every IP, look for open ports. If they see one, they just hammer the passwords, and they just basically, if they get logged in, then they get notified, and then they just go to work. I noticed a few things were happening on the computers. My Windows login was getting locked. So, seems hindsight 2020. I was like, why is it getting locked? I'm not trying to log in. I highly doubt anyone else is trying to log in. It's probably just a glitch or something. Disabled the the remote desktop password, and then yada yada. As time goes on, this is what I see in every single folder. So here, all your files are encrypted, all your files, documents, folders, databases, yada yada yada. Contact us at Telegram, email, blah 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 blah. So first thing I looked at was, oh my gosh, okay, how deep did this go? What did they all encrypt? And can I, recover some by just renaming a file or what have you? Anyways, that was not the case. So of course you go, how do I decrypt ransomware files? I figured this was a common thing. People probably already figured out how to solve it. Not the case. I stumbled on this website here, which has a whole bunch of trolls and people who claim that they can help you with the ransomware. So basically, once you discover what type of ransomware you have, which takes a while because you don't know exactly the name of the ransomware, they constantly change the names of the ransomware. And it's not just based on the extension that they add to your files, it's based on the encryption type. And they switch the encryption type every time. So mine I discovered because you can see it here. It says the stop 24. So stop 247 is kind of the ransomware type, and I found that here in this this forum here. I posted a ton of things here trying to get some information, trying to get some help. They have some people on there that claim that they can, they can maybe decrypt your files. I got private messages from people who were scamming, saying that they, go to this guy, he'll help you, and blah, blah, blah. It's all scams. Nobody can actually decrypt the new stuff. It hasn't been out. It takes a long, long time. And the majority of the people here just say it's probably gone. Just do better security. A lot of I told you so's are just in here. Decryption is impossible. Decryption is impossible. That's all it is. It's just a whole bunch of people who have hope, and it's a whole bunch of people just saying I told you so. So this was really not helpful at all. I gave them all the information and was hoping that someone would be able to decrypt it or know about it, and that went nowhere. I got a private message to go to this person on YouTube. This is 100% the scam. So this guy's got 10K subscribers, and he has videos on how he's decrypting the different types of ransomware. It's all bullshit. So essentially, all you have to do is you look up your type of ransomware. Here's his email address, and this needs to be reported as a felon because he is part of this ransomware group. In fact, this entire website, I'm going to flag it as an illegal website. So I reached out to this person hoping that as a fellow YouTuber, they would be able to help me. And he looked at my files and he was able to decrypt them. So I sent him 3 pictures that were encrypted. He sent them back and said, yes, I have the decryption for them. And he unencrypted them and sent them back to me. He then proceeded to ask for money. And I said, okay, well, how much do you want? And he said he wanted 0.1 Bitcoin. So I'll pull up that email here in just a second. Okay, so I created a fake email address, as you can see here. It's a kind of a comical email address. I created a fake email address, sent him an email, and he said, don't worry about your files, we'll solve it. And then he says the price is 0.1 Bitcoin. I did not have 0.1 Bitcoin to give him. He said, basically, after your thing is done, we'll just send you the decryptor key, and if you have any issues, we'll get on with you and help you fix the solution. Okay, I felt like maybe there was someone who actually genuinely wants to help me because the original note was saying 0.2. So I thought, okay, maybe this guy could actually help. And because he has a website, maybe he's actually legitimately, good. We go through a whole bunch of discussions here, and it ended up that I had only really had 0.67 Ethereum in my exchange, which is still about $1,200. And essentially what happened is I hummed and hawed over it a lot, and I decided that, okay, the information that I lost, the terabytes and terabytes, the 80 terabytes, I think it was 130 terabytes of data of 5 years of downloading is all gone. I figured, okay, I'll give him 0.67 Ethereum if he agrees to that. So he agreed to 0.67 Ethereum. I said, thanks for contacting us. We've received your 0.67 Ethereum, blah, blah, blah. And he says, your files are worth more than 50K USD. So you now have to pay 0.2 Bitcoin. They had already gotten my 0.67 Ethereum. They said, you now owe us 0.15 Bitcoin more. I sent billions and billions of emails being, so upset that they had literally just took my money and then just said, oh, no, you have to pay more. I thought that because I was reaching out to a YouTuber that, He's got 10K subscribers. I figured that he would be a little bit more reasonable than the actual ransomware people. It's all a scam. They took my Ethereum, and after investigation, they took all of my Chia as well. So they must have been on my box for a while, and I'm going to show you that how they sent all of my Chia to an address, and I'll show that address on here in a second. Okay, so since my system was compromised, obviously I had taken it offline. I wasn't able to connect to the internet with it, so I unplugged the Ethernet cable and I shut it down because I was just devastated that the whole thing was compromised and I didn't have time to dig into how deep it was. When I logged back in, I opened up my Chia node, and obviously it wasn't detecting, it wasn't able to detect anything, so it was all corrupted. So what I ended up doing was I recreated basically the Chia, and I noticed that my wallet went from 22 down to 0. You can see here on January 22nd, he sent 15 Chia to this address, and then he sent the remaining 7.78 Chia to this address. So that means he was on the box, he was on the GUI, he saw that there was a Chia, and he literally was able to send the Chia to him to this address here, which is demoralizing. My 2 years of farming everything that I've done down to 0 cents. To make matters worse, I couldn't reuse those plots on the compromised account. So I had to create a new account because he has access to this account. He probably had my seed phrase and everything. So he had all of my plots, everything here. And unfortunately, if you add a new wallet, you can't reuse those plots. It says these plots are linked to a different wallet. So I would either have to replot all 1,700 of my plots if I wanted to start Chia again, or by chance I set up a separate wallet and I made the pooling address to go to my new wallet. So the payouts are going to go to my new wallet, which is this address here. If this address ever changes, then I'll know that he logged into the system and he's from his GUI, because he probably has my pass and user and seed phrase, and he can change this payout address to his own. So right now, essentially what I've done is I've brought it back up. I have a new wallet and it's going out to this payout address. And it's really upsetting because this is a compromised account now. He probably has the seed phrase, but I can't use those 1,700 plots on another account unless I want to replot. And I'm not replotting my 1,700 plots. And essentially I've lost everything. So we've got, let's blur that out. I was able to move my 2 Christmas tokens. I saved those stupid 2 tokens, so if anyone wants to buy those for 22 Chia, that would be awesome because I am at 0. So we're just going to go through a couple of the lessons learned and some of the things that I took after I really grasped what had happened. Losing my Ethereum, losing my Chia, losing all of my files, and having to build everything from ground up. So we'll kind of go through that, what steps I took after the aftermath of all of this. Okay, so basically after I found out that I lost all of my Chia and all of my files and 0.67 Ethereum in this breach, the first thing I did was I went into my router, wiped it out, completely reset my ISP router, put in a strong pass for the router, disabled all of the open ports, any forwarding I had, broke that down, and then I went into my managed switch and I started configuring my managed switch to segregate my networks. So that's still a work in progress. I don't know a lot about managed switches, but this is going to help me really focus on what where traffic is going to be able to go if you do enter my system or what have you. The next most important thing I did was I went into all of my Google accounts. I think I had 3, and I went through every single setting in the Google accounts and disabled any data transfers. I removed every single password that I had in any Google account, and I added a strong pass to any account, any password that was in there. So I removed them and I added them to my Apple Strong Pass security, I guess, login system. So I removed everything online. All of the logins that I had online have been removed from any account. There's no more comfort in just one-click access, autofill, etc. Everything is going to be a long, extremely long password. I obviously formatted all of my systems. I wiped them all out. And the next thing I did was each system has a strong pass now as well, which is, it's kind of a pain because when I want to log into the system, A, I don't know the password, B, I have to look it up, and then C, I have to type it all in every single time I log in. But this is what has to be done because they were able to access one system and then they were able to access another system. And if I had more systems on remote desktop opened, they would have accessed those too. So the third thing is I made sure that all of the firewall and everything on Windows Defender is up to date. In Windows 11, they have a new ability to have a ransomware protection, which they don't have in Windows 10. So I upgraded my systems to Windows 11 in order to get this added controlled folder ransomware protection. It may not be doing anything, but it might do some stuff. We can revert basically ransomware data recovery. We may be able to actually roll back those if there is a ransomware attack. So I haven't finished setting this up completely, but I'm going to look into this a little bit more. And yeah, making sure that every piece of software on my system has been updated. Just like the Chrome, I went through all of the Chrome extensions and removed them from everything. I stopped syncing any of my Chrome settings from one browser to another, so there's no syncing. And all of my passwords online are one-passed strong passwords. So with that said, I still have a lot more to protect and to secure. So you guys can definitely give me some more tips of adding, I don't know, you can add a whole bunch of different softwares that are going to protect against this, but there's probably diminishing returns at some point. But just keeping your stuff safe. And if you see one of those data breaches warnings in your phone that, if you go to your passwords and it says there's been a data breach for this password, this password, this password, pay attention to that because that's how they got into mine. So I had, I think, 77 passwords on known data breaches when I looked into my Google account. And yeah, these things you never really take care of unless it actually happens to you. So hopefully someone sees this video and they see that it's dangerous out there and it can happen to you. I was a little bit relaxed on some of the stuff that I had on my systems, but they were easily taken over and easily compromised, and I've lost everything. So where do I go from here? At the start of this year, I was really excited about having some Flux projects with one of their new Thunder nodes. But because of the loss of my Chia, because of the loss of my Ethereum, which I had to purchase Flux, I don't really know where to go from here. I'm pretty devastated, and it's really hard for me to even look at crypto videos. I'm pretty demoralized. So I don't know if this is going to be my last video. It probably will be my last Chia video because I have nothing. I've got no Chia. And the one system I do have, it's compromised. So, at any given time, if he wrote down my seed phrase, he could log in and change my payout address. So anyways, that's it for now. It's a pretty depressing video, and I'm really sorry about that, but it took me a long time to be able to come to you guys and sort of admit what had happened to me. And I'm really hoping that this might trigger some, better password protections on your side and system protections. If you have, remote desktop access from outside of your house, figure a way of locking that down, or change the ports. Use 3 incorrect logins, and then it locks down the system. For me, I was all of my stuff was fairly open at the time because it was inside my system, and I figured no one was going to be inside my system. So those things happen, and I really hope that you guys maybe have learned something from this. Maybe you haven't, but that's it for now. There's no there's no upcoming video. Pretty devastated. Don't really want to think about this stuff anymore, and it took me long enough to put this one out there. So anyways, thanks for the community. You guys are awesome. I hope everybody's doing better than I am, and maybe we'll see you in the future. Thanks, everyone.